Bit of an update here. So, I found this that bit. Persons may prosecute actions against members of Parliament in the intervals of session. Right? I wrote quite a lot about that. And this is the Lord Hanningfield representation. If anyone wants to read it, 6 pages. Now I've found this. These actual, and there's some more to come as well. So, plaintiff's action delayed by privilege of Parliament shall not be discontinued or barred by any statute or limitation. So why would it be delayed? A plaintiff's action delayed by privilege of Parliament shall not be discontinued or barred by any statute or limitation. Well, it would be delayed by privilege of Parliament if they were in session, wouldn't it? Because that's what it just said. They can be prosecuted in between sessions, right? But it said that should not be discontinued or barred by any statute or limitation. Well, Jeremy Johnson, KC, he had it discontinued. Alistair McCreef discontinued it or barred it from being prosecuted because Jeremy Johnson, KC, raised the Magna Carta, not Magna Carta, sorry. He raised the Bill of Rights clause, but not the right to petition. He raised, I don't know what article, I don't know what number those articles are, because well, actually, it'll tell you here. It'll tell you in here what article it is. It tells you here what article it says. Just look through those there. I'm not looking now because I don't want to know what number it is. It doesn't matter what number it is. I know what it is. I know what the actual wording is for it. Illegal prosecutions by the King's Bench for matters decidable, debatable, cognisable only in Parliament, right? I don't need to know what number article it is. It doesn't have a number. If it had a number written next to it, I would know it off by heart. You count them down from the top. So Johnson's wrong. Johnson's wrong. I said he was wrong, but for other reasons. McCreef can't use statute law. Now, what they did is they tried to claim that Hanningfield's actions is work of Parliament, right? But it says here, right? Check this out. And my battery's going to go in a minute, unless I plug the phone in. Action may be prosecuted, right? Bet George Galloway will be interested in this for sure. It'll be perked up on the edge of his seat. Actions may be prosecuted against any officer of the revenue or any other place of public trust, right? That includes MPs, for any misdemeanour, etc. No such action to be stayed by any privilege of Parliament, but not subject the person of such member to imprisonment. Well, Hanningfield got sent to prison first time around. He shouldn't have been sent to prison first time, right? According to this. But saying that, he should have been prosecuted in the Old Bailey then, according to this. Or what have you. I'm not bothered where they prosecute him. Really, they should have prosecuted him with his peers in Parliament or even in the High Court. But it doesn't matter. You know, Supreme Court, High Court, Old Bailey, according to this. But the argument that Johnson put, you can read it here, read it, see what you make of it. There's a basis, there's one basis that the clerk or anyone can do their work. Isn't limited to the building, right? So, like Lord Adonis is like, doing work for the Lords, surveying the train system of England, right? Whatever, PC Plod. I'm not bothered what work he's doing or where he's doing it, right? This says, right, clearly says for any misdemeanor. Well, isn't expenses fraud a misdemeanor? It basically offences crimes. Doesn't matter what the crime's in relation to. Doesn't matter whether the crime's business for. If you are in Parliament doing work for Parliament, right, and you commit fraud, that's a misdemeanor. That's where it is. Corrupt and illegal practices. In the elections petitions rules, you're entitled to indemnity if you tell the truth. If you are telling the truth, right? If you're not telling the truth, then you're committing a misdemeanor, right? Okay? This is actually, now I understand the whole election petition basis and all that Corrupt and Legal Practices Act. When, they got to answer questions and they got privilege and so forth and so forth. But, funnily enough, there were only fines at one point. I'm sure they started got imprisonment in for some of the offences for election fraud. I'm not sure if that is only for you and me, us, right? Or other personnel who aren't members of Parliament, right? But one thing I know for sure now on this basis is that in 1688, with the 1688 Bill of Rights, and they said, right, okay, if you're petitioning Parliament with a suit case by petition, you can't be prosecuted, right? So they're giving you this parliamentary privilege that the Lords and MPs have got if you are bringing a case to Parliament. If it's the truth, and if you're not, if you're legitimately and honestly pursuing a case, right, you get protection from prosecution. That's why it says in the claim of right. Now you can't be sent to prison. It's the same as this. You can't be sent to prison. So you've got the same, right? Now I don't know if these are repealed yet. These might be repealed. We'll have to check. But it matters because we need to know what the history of it is and what it's founded on and what the basis and principle is. I don't think there is any other basis and principle, because wouldn't Johnson have raised it in this unless he didn't want Alistair McReef to, officially, but that's omitting evidence, isn't it? That's like the Crown Prosecutor omitting certain facts or evidence. I'm surprised that the Crown Prosecution Service actually didn't know all this. I'm quite surprised that the Crown Prosecution Service actually didn't really know anything, was stupid. Actually, according to this, Hanningfield shouldn't have been prosecuted first place, unless those have been repealed. The only statute or law that Johnson raises is that illegal prosecutions in the Bill of Rights. Nothing else. You'd have thought he'd have, all kinds of stuff coming out of his back pocket, like all loads of arcane, peculiar law and legislation and facts. Not 6 pages, and the last page is not even a full page. I've just pulled out 1, 2, 3, 4 multiple acts all the way through explicitly. According to this, this would have protected Hanningfield, but it still have had to face the trial. But they didn't have him facing the trial in front of the jury, did they? So it's sketchy. Something dodgy is going on. I don't know how much. I'd like to know how much Johnson got paid for writing those 6 pages. $1,000. Wouldn't that be interesting? We could get through. I want to know how much money Johnson got to write these 6 pages and why he's got awarded with a King's Counsel Always QC, now he's KC. Judge, he's got raised up to judge. Alistair McReef climbing the stairway, and now he's judging Julian Assange, right? Now he's judging Julian Assange's case, who's been locked up against the rights of England. To none shall we delay, to none shall we deny right or privilege or justice. Well, they didn't deny Hanningfield his privilege, but they did first time. Where was Superhero Johnson first time around for Hanningfield? Here I come to save the day. The Crown Prosecution Service have got to be liable for professional negligence. First time around, I ended up in prison, unless these are repealed. But these are a principle. These are a legal basis. Maybe Johnson didn't raise these if they're repealed, but you would have thought that he would have given them citation as some kind of substance, just to show his knowledge and extensive professionalism in citations of relevant law to help better work it out and be more precision about it, rather than dancing around the clerks. Tango dancing with a clerk at last minute through email, and that's not much of a tango, is it? So I think Galloway can wipe his brow, but I'm starting to think that what interests me in this now is Pelosi. Because the American model in the Constitution, it says that they can't be arrested on their way to Congress, right? That must be equal to this, can't be prosecuted, they can be prosecuted out of session, right? That's got to be what that Constitution's based on, because it fits, right? But what is a misdemeanor? A misdemeanor is something like that is criminal or against the law, or you're not telling the truth, right? Work of Parliament and business of Parliament matters decidable, debatable in Parliament, the making and changing of laws, the running of the country, right? Pelosi can change and make laws all day, right? But if she's got a business and she's making an exceptional amount of money out of all these strange investments, right? And there's something, no one's questioning what she can and can't do in Congress. But what are our motivations? It's in Congress, they don't ask you questions, do they? Why are you really doing this, Nancy? Why are you really doing that? Are you doing it for yourself? That's not the question on the menu. The question is, what shall we do with the laws? What do the people want? How shall we run the country? That's another matter. Is that a misdemeanor? I mean, excuse me, Nancy, have you, all that work you've been doing in Parliament, Congress business, you wouldn't happen to be doing that for your own personal benefit or gain, would you? I'm just curious, because if you were, that wouldn't be a conscience, would it? It would be pursuit of personal gain. Might even be, if, is that a misdemeanor? Racketeering, rigging the system, those questions that aren't asked in Parliament because, but we're asking them here because that would be a misdemeanor in the state of Washington outside of Congress if we were to know that while you were outside of Congress, you were planning to go in there and, make yourself some money out of it. This is it. I'm starting to realise now that the other offences, the normal, because you've got corrupt and illegal practices, right? Surely, this is the thing about telling the truth. I'm Nancy Pelosi. I'm not changing and making these laws for my own benefit. I'm just doing it for the good of the country, right? But what if she was lying, right? Truth. What if that wasn't the truth, right? If that wasn't the truth, then she would have been doing it, right? And that is a corrupt and illegal practice. Now, how do you get the truth out of them? Well, you ask them in court, under oath, on trial, right? Which you can do. corruption legal practices, out of session, a misdemeanor. What's that? Corruption legal practices misdemeanor in court, in between session. Hello, Nancy. Did you do all that stuff in Congress for own personal gain? Yes or no? Under oath. Right. I don't really know. Oh, how convenient for you, Nancy. Well, you won't be going to prison, will you? But, at least, well, if she's not going to prison, what are we going to do with her? Make her give all the money back. Not stand in government again, and she's not got long left in government anyway. Humiliate her in front of the whole country. Stand in front of God knows what TV program show. What TV program show hasn't she been on? There's no humiliating these people. I've seen it. I mean, I think they get a thrill out of it. There's a thrill in the whole. I think some newspaper person just put her on the spot and questioned her on a load of things, and she just she just totally glazed over. And I think with that power that they can just be in front of the whole the nation, the world, like Biden tripping up, on the stage, totally incompetent. They must. It's almost like they must get some kind of thrill out of it. It's almost kind of like you get those people walking on the like those street not parlay people, whatever it's called, walking on the edge of the buildings, doing backflips at the top of the building when they could even just fall, or even hanging, free running and all that. It must be like a thrill right at the edge of a building. Almost like David Blaine, at the top of the thing. You just stand on the spot. It must be some kind of thrill, to be. What what else is when you are I mean Pelosi could be stood there naked in the buff. It's almost like in Game of Thrones, when they're going shame, 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 shame. But I think to them it's like a roller coaster ride. It's like free falling, and it must be like skydiving or something. But they're not going down. It's almost like skydiving, but they're still in the job. It's like some kind of free fall, Point Break. But anyway, maybe I should send this to Jimmy Dore and see what he thinks.